There's something absurdly poetic about a player being reborn in a city known for its processions. Not biblical ones, although Seville can do those too, but the slow, sunlit kind that start in despair and end in something resembling hope. That was Antony's path this season. Manchester United's £61 million meltdown found his soul floating down the Guadalquivir and landing, inexplicably, at Real Betis. Antony, this strange, volatile little firework of a winger. All twisted limbs and twitchy spirit. In Manchester, he moved like a man haunted by his own highlight reel, like he was trying to mimic a younger version of himself and failing in public. For months, he was nothing but a price tag wearing boots. Then something changed. The air, the sun, the lack of pressure, the way the crowd in Seville doesn't so much judge as it does observe, hungrily but with arms open. In Betis Green, he became electric. 9 goals, 5 assists, and about 50 moments of human theater. He cried. He laughed. He played like a man with skin again. Like he was no longer encased in the brittle shell of transfer fee expectations. He scored in both legs of the semi-final against Fiorentina. A curled free kick so precise it felt almost rehearsed in a dream. Then a whipped-in cross to set up the goal that sent Betis to their first-ever European final. Chelsea await in Rocklaw, but to the Betis fans, he's already theirs. Isco threatened to kidnap him, half joking. Joaquin said he'd drive the getaway car. But let's not romanticize too much. This was not a straight-line resurrection. Antony didn't go from villain to hero. He went from ghost to man. That's the real transformation. In Manchester, he had become invisible, a non-event in a collapsing side, a static charge in a broken lamp. His off-pitch issues made it worse. Accusations, investigations, public doubt. He said he went days without eating, locked in his room, too hollow even to play with his son. So no, this wasn't a simple footballing revival. It was existential. It was about rediscovering joy in a city that lets you breathe it in between the fried fish and the flamenco. He found meaning again in the warmth of a crowd that didn't care about the Premier League or amortized transfer losses. They saw him cry, and they liked it. The tears, the goals, the defiance. That's what they love in Seville. A good story with conflict and catharsis, but now the end credits are rolling. Because Real Betis can't afford him. Manchester United will want at least €50 million, and Betis are already stretching their budget just keeping the lights on. So Antony will probably go back. Maybe not to Manchester, but somewhere richer, colder, heavier. Someplace that doesn't let you cry in public without consequences. But for now, for this one fleeting spring, he was theirs. The weird Brazilian who dribbled like a man in a street fight, who looked like a tragedy and played like a resurrection. Antonio of Triana, the kid they wanted to kidnap. Tell me football doesn't feel like a fairy tale sometimes. Because that goal in Florence? That wasn't just a free kick. That was a flare in the dark. A little flash of proof that people can still be saved by the game. And then, across the pitch, there's Maresca. It's funny, isn't it? You spend your whole life learning from someone, building your identity under their shadow, only to end up trying to beat them in a European final with the whole footballing world watching. That's where Enzo Maresca stands, on the lip of destiny, face to face with his footballing father. Manuel Pellegrini was the one who planted the idea in Maresca's mind back in Malaga. A midfielder who played with a kind of intelligent anonymity, Maresca didn't scream for attention. But Pellegrini saw something, whispered to him, "You'd make a good coach." That kind of whisper can move mountains. It moved Maresca all the way from southern Spain to the technical area at Stamford Bridge, and now they meet again. Teacher versus apprentice, mentor versus mirror. You could script it for Netflix and it still wouldn't feel this good. The game itself? Sure, it's the UEFA Conference League. Not exactly the crown jewel of European competitions, but don't let the snobs fool you. Finals are sacred, even the ones with lowercase gravitas. For Maresca, this isn't about the trophy cabinet. It's about validation, about proving he can lead a squad not just with tactics, but with heart. Chelsea gave him a 5-year deal, but one bad season can make paper promises look like they were printed on rice paper in a monsoon. And yet, here we are. He's already made them better. 34 wins in 56 games. He's done the Guardiola thing without becoming a parody. Inverted fullbacks, controlled midfield chaos, and players like Cole Palmer suddenly playing like they're the second coming of Zola. It's not nothing. It's not luck. It's Maresca, methodically building an identity out of a club that had become allergic to stability. But there's more. There's a ghost in the stadium at Rocklaw, and it's wearing green and white. Because Maresca? He used to be Seville, Betis' blood rival. He wasn't just there, he was adored. They called him El Capo, the boss. He scored in derbies. He lifted trophies. He became a permanent scar on Betis' collective memory, and now he walks out against them, trying to take from them the most precious thing they've never had, European silverware. The Betis fans are going to boo like it's a sport, and he knows it. He's not flinching. He even said it with a shrug. They don't love me. No doubt. But I want to win. It's easy to forget the man has 4 sons. One literal family, and another, the 25 men in the Chelsea dressing room who he calls his kids. Pellegrini taught him that a good coach raises men, not just players. That tactical plans are nothing without emotional investment. That's what makes this final so layered. It's not 2 teams. It's 2 belief systems, wrapped in history and wrapped in feeling. The kid who used to watch Pep Guardiola's Barcelona and whisper, "This is who I want to be," now has his shot at being that person, against the man who first lit the match. And if he wins, it's not just a trophy, it's an identity claim. A scream into the abyss of modern football chaos. I am here. I am real. And this is the new Chelsea. Let's get one thing straight. Matheus Cunha doesn't walk onto a pitch. He saunters in like a man about to turn heartbreak into theater. Not run. Not glide. Saunter, like he's halfway between "I've got this" and "I dare you to tell me I don't." And now he's off to Manchester United. Because of course he is. You'd think, rationally, this is a backwards move. From Wolves, who, let's face it, weren't exactly setting the league on fire, to a club that spent more time this year writing apology letters to their fans than scoring goals. But here's the thing. Cunha doesn't deal in logic. He deals in feeling. And somewhere in that broken-down Old Trafford dressing room, he saw a place to matter. Not to exist. Not to be another attacker on a whiteboard. But to matter. You know what he said? "I want to fight for big things." Yes, Matheus. Big things. Like finishing 9th instead of 10th. Like rebranding frustration as ambition. But maybe, just maybe, this is more than blind optimism. Because Cunha has that twitchy genius to him, the same unpredictable pulse that made Firmino look like a Samba warlock in his prime. He can run at defenders like they owe him money. He can score from distance, link play, find angles that make Pythagoras blush. But most importantly, he wants it. Not in the hollow marketing sense. He wants a stage, and he wants to be the reason the crowd gets up. So why Manchester United? Well, where else can you arrive in total darkness and still hear people whispering your name? Sure, there are red flags. No European football. A manager in Ruben Amorim who's got the personality of a silent film and the squad harmony of a group project gone rogue. But Cunha doesn't care. He's not scared of the chaos. He wants to carve his initials into it. And if that means dragging this rotting old United side up by its bootlaces, he'll do it. Or he'll fight someone trying. And I mean fight. This is a guy who literally tried to fight Milas Kerkez in the FA Cup. 3 times. Like he thought the 4th time would be the charm. He's a walking contradiction. One moment he's running past 3 defenders like a magician. The next, he's headbutting glasses off a poor Ipswich staffer like it's a barroom brawl in Sao Paulo. Discipline? Optional. Drama? Mandatory. So yes, he's a risk. But what in football isn't? Bruno Fernandes walks around 80% of the game like a man lost in thought. Garnacho's agent has probably liked more Saudi club tweets than goals his client scored. And Rashford? Well, Rashford's shadow is currently more effective than his actual performances. Cunha's arrival feels messy. It should feel messy. That's the United way now. But he's not here to be tidy. He's here to set fire to the blueprint and scribble his own. To punch holes in mediocrity. To make Old Trafford believe in flair again, even if it comes with tantrums and cards and the occasional public meltdown. He has talent. He has issues. He has the look of a man who's tired of being better than his teammates. That might sound arrogant, but maybe that's exactly what United needs. Not another choir boy, a main character, a flaw-filled, show-stealing, chaos-generating main character. Let the rest of the top 6 chase clean energy. United just plugged a live wire into their front line. And wouldn't you know it, this season, the wires are crackling most loudly around the Underdogs. There's a sound football makes when it surprises you, not the ball hitting the net. That's too clean. It's the roar, the intake of breath before the explosion, the suspended disbelief that suddenly collapses into euphoria. This year, that sound played on loop. Again and again. A symphony of upsets, a requiem for predictability, the season of the underdog. The glorious, spiteful, poetic underdog. Crystal Palace, yes, that Crystal Palace beat Manchester City in the FA Cup final. 1-0. Eberechieze pirouetted past his defender like he was writing calligraphy on grass, then slotted it in like it was the easiest thing in the world. Dean Henderson saved a penalty with the kind of grin you wear when you know history just bent in your favor. That was their first real trophy ever, not some nonsense cup from the era when English football was in European exile. Not a moral victory. A trophy. A place in Europe. Palace. In Europe. That's not a glitch, that's a miracle. But they weren't alone. Tottenham, who usually win most likely to bottle it every May, won the Europa League. Beat Manchester United 1-0 in Bilbao. Brennan Johnson scored. Brennan Johnson, a player who once looked like he'd never be more than a highlight reel merchant. Now he's carved himself into Spurs folklore. And oh, the irony. Their worst domestic season since the disco era. 17th in the league. One place above relegation. You could practically hear the pitchforks sharpening. But then Ange Postecoglou, mocked for his second season magic cliché, pulled it off. He did win something in his second year, and not just a something, a European trophy. Spurs hadn't touched continental silverware since 1984. This is a club that usually breaks fans, not brackets. But somehow, this time, they broke the curse. Newcastle, Carabao Cup. 2-1 over Liverpool. The kind of match where every blade of Wembley grass felt like it was trembling under the weight of the occasion. Dan Burn looked like a skyscraper come to life. Isaac danced like nobody told him Liverpool were supposed to win. Aberdeen beat Celtic in the Scottish Cup final. On penalties, their first Scottish Cup in 35 years. The kind of result that makes old men cry and school kids pick up scarves. Celtic were going for the treble. Aberdeen were just going for a reason to believe again. They found it. Even Arsenal's women shocked the world. Beat Barcelona. Yes, that Barcelona. 3 of the last 4 Champions League titles. Ballon d'Or winners. The invincibles of the women's game. But Arsenal found a way. Stina Blackstenius scored, and suddenly it had been 18 years since they last lifted that trophy, and now they had it again. Against the odds. Against the tide. And we haven't even talked about the rest of Europe. Bologna, Coppa Italia champions for the first time in over half a century. Stuttgart, German Cup, first since 1997. Go-Ahead Eagles won a Dutch Cup after 92 years. Their last trophy came before television had color, before the Second World War. Now, open-top buses, fireworks in Deventer, and a name that sounds like a minor league baseball team now engraved on silver. This isn't just about football. This is about hope. This is about all the times fans sat in the rain, watched their team concede, sighed, and thought, maybe next year. Well, this year was next year. This year was the payoff, the punchline, the proof. And we, those of us who feel this game deep in our ribs, we know what this means. Because watching Giants fall isn't just drama. It's spiritual. It's a reminder that the sport is still ours. That beneath all the money, all the data, all the supercomputer simulations, there is still room for magic, for imperfection, for defiance. So raise a glass to the ones who weren't supposed to win, who weren't supposed to matter, who didn't listen when the world called them irrelevant. They showed up, they punched up, and they won. This has been Across the Pitch. Over and out.